Oh shit, here we go again.
Low, man. Low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Andrew Esquire, and this Legal Minds will teach you to be your own judge. I'm back, baby, here in the good old US of A. Loving it being back here with you guys tonight. Ye of little faith, late and scuffed. Late, but not scuffed. So we did not, 44% of you in the poll said I'd be late and scuffed. No scuff today. Little late, though. But that said, it's good to be here with you guys today. We're going all in on Mizkif, and we're getting into it today. This is going to be a fun one. This one I was looking forward to. This is one I called because I predicted in my last video that actually I would that there would be a lawsuit coming from this. I'm not complaining. This is infinite content generation so much. I thought we just had the H3 lawsuit. I thought we had, other lawsuits coming out there. But no, we've got more today to get through, and I've got a lot of super chats already, so we're gonna get into that today. But it's good to be back. It's good to be here with you guys today. Appreciate y'all. Hope you're appreciating my nice tropical shirt undertones here. So people are asking where I am. I'm not gonna give away my location until after I've left the location. So that's gonna prevent any doxing or any other weird, swatting or any other weirdness over here when I'm stateside. But that said, there will be a lot of photos, and I'm going to share those on X, share those on YouTube, locals. So we'll talk about that today. But yes, hotel internet holding up. I went to 780, 720, 7 something to make sure that it streams nice and smooth for you guys. But based on how much I'm paying for this hotel room, the internet better be all right. But yes, good to see everybody here today. Good with this new content. Oh boy. Oh. Yes. The personalities involved in this, and the fact of the matter is, if this gets to deposition, we're going to have literal responses from Asmongold, from Emru, from Mizkif, probably from other people. They're probably going to drag Tectone's, egg-headed ass in this one. Lots of other people that are going to come in and give testimony here, proof here, as part of the discovery process, which is going to be ultimately an own for Mizkif, an absolute big fat L. No Mudang today. Mudang could not clear customs. There's something about not wanting pygmy hippopotamuses to be traveling worldwide. I know it's racist against pygmy hippopotamuses, but that said, Mudang is definitely being cared for and being fed properly. So don't worry, Mudang is going to be all right. JP Ravenfire, my trusty mod with 5 legal mods of memberships. Thank you so much. Yes. That also big love for Danielle and all the other mods out there. Love you guys. UFOs, it looks like Emru baited him to sue. Well, wouldn't that be something for soy boy Mizkif, who is so in his feelings that he can't keep from owning himself, which is absolutely what this is going to be in the end. Mizkif added to 2025 streamer downfall. Oh yeah. Get a haircut, hippie. Just kidding. Glad to see you back in the U.S. No, I do need to get a haircut. My hair's getting a little long. Whenever the hair starts to get in front of the eye, that's when you know it's a little long. But yes, I'm going to be doing that very, very soon. Blade says, if Mizkif sues everyone, I hope that somebody will drag his lawsuit like corpos drag their opponents. I don't think they're going to need to. I mean, and I'm going to talk about this, but the best thing for Mizkif, and this is insane, but the best thing for Mizkif is if they file a motion to dismiss, and because of that motion to dismiss, this lawsuit is killed. Ironically, them winning through motion to dismiss, which is one of the first things you'd file, would be the best thing for Mizkif. And that's how bad this lawsuit is. Hilariously bad. And I stand by that. I want Mudang. Mudang will be back. Don't worry. Like in 1 week, what is it? 1 week from now, about plus or minus. I'm not going to give exact dates here. Mudang will be back. Don't worry. Mudang is always going to be there. Brian Tracer, 979. Appreciate that love there. No objection. That based support. Appreciate that, guys, and all the guys that, all the people out there that give memberships. Please say thank you if you receive a gift membership. The appreciation is always much loved. Nope. WMO Pan. Thank you as a new member. Maximus Decimus says Miz was probably on shrooms. I don't know what he was on. I think he's on estrogen because, I mean, frankly, with all this whining about plushies and emotional damage and mental damage, it's really pathetic. And the sad story is that you can get lawyers to file lawsuits on anything. You can get lawyers to file a lawsuit. If you pay them money, they're going to file a lawsuit, even if it's a really, really bad lawsuit. And in this case, I think Mizkif's lawsuit is a horrible, horrible, horrible lawsuit that he should not have ever filed in the first place. But I think he views it as he's backed into a corner and this is his only chance to vindicate himself. So, you know, he's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Reputationally, he was going to be destroyed either way, but this is just going to sink him legally, financially, and reputationally. Man, I wish I wasn't banned from X right now. The best seat in the house for all this. It's what I get for pissing off a high-ranking Mormon apostate. Listen, behave yourself. Behave yourself on X. We're going to have some fun clips to start this out as well. I do have a PP. Don't worry, the PP is here. I never would leave you guys without full PP participation. Let me tab back over here, make sure I got that. Okay. I've got all the good stuff for you guys today. I've even got a Fillion clip. God, Fillion is going to be part of this. Can you guys believe that? Can you guys believe that Fillion's going to have to be part of this? But yes, we've got a PP for you guys. Don't worry. What's the early and scuffed option? Well, that didn't happen, but almost happened. Almost happened. Got a little distraction. Can we get a late and scuffed? I thought we had a scuff emoji. Gonna have to double check on that. Billy says late, gay, and scuffed for not wearing pants. Who says I'm not wearing pants? I'm probably wearing pants, but can neither confirm nor deny. Cube says Gigi Murin holds the record for oversleeping by 3 hours. Place your bets now if Legal Mindset can heap that. Listen, I will say this. I have never overslept a stream. However, I have moved to stream time because I'm sleeping, but I never oversleep the stream time. I will always get up and then move the stream time. That's the secret. Right? Devil's Advocate says, imagine being so dumb you own yourself by posting legal correspondence drafted against you. No need to imagine. Behold, Mizkif. Yes. The letter that he submitted, which we're going to go through some selected parts today. I have the whole thing. We may read the whole thing. We'll see. We'll see how I feel about this. It actually works against him. And this is the most hilarious thing ever, is that this letter that he threw down as quote unquote evidence is actually something that works against him. Because he's claiming he was not on notice. He's claiming he didn't know. Bro, you literally had notice and they could have terminated you just for that alone. But apparently that's not enough. Apparently he wants to be notified every single day that he's on watch, and that's not enough. I don't know what's enough for Mizkif. I don't think anything's enough for Mizkif. I think he's never satisfied. No matter how many views you get, likes, whatever, it's never enough. And that's the content creator brain rot. And that's really where a lot of this goes, is the kind of absolute hubris of these content creators. I mean, it's very similar with Hassan, thinking he's not privileged, but, he's growing up, a fat kid on a horse, stuff like that. I mean, Mizkif is like the fat kid on a high horse, if you will, of social media. Amaran for 5 says suing Asmongold is like suing a fire-breathing dragon sitting on his pile of gold. And not only that, but Asmongold now gets to cover it. And here's the other thing too, which is we're going to talk about this today. All of those statements that Asmongold was holding back on because he said he knew a bunch of stuff he's not going to say, he's now going to be forced to say that as part of the lawsuit. That's going to come out as part of discovery. So he's going to end up talking about all those things which he said he wasn't going to talk about. So that's all going to come out, and that's going to be very, very entertaining. Sorry, I'm manually adjusting my camera so the AI doesn't track me like a weirdo. King Conda says, got a nice big bucket of popcorn ready to watch Miz file this lawsuit. Hell yeah. Don P. Bongwater said Miz went from dunce to loca overnight. Yes. And by the way, in case you didn't know, there's a very good video that is very accurate and very true and very appropriate on a little channel called Don P. Bongwater. And you guys should all check this out over here, called the Crash Out Report, episode 1, Mizkif. This is absolute meme gold. I may or may not be starring in it. Mindset Legal, which, by the way, I said this on another channel. Mindset Legal is now an actual thing. So we're going to be doing some legal stuff. And Mindset Legal is now a legal thing. So Mindset Legal is now legal. So that the fanfic now becomes canon. Very, very soon. You guys will find out in the future what that's about. But yes. Fat Factor said Mizkif of Jersey threatening to blackmail and extort people. It's like you grew up watching The Sopranos reruns with the Soy Boy Shakedown. Yeah, I mean, imagine if Tony Soprano was suing somebody for throwing a plushie. What type of absolute peak beta is that? Ted Park says, should Mizkif be worried about Discovery? That's enough to get Disney-sized companies. He doesn't. I don't think he realizes what it is. I think his lawyers have not told him properly what Discovery means. What Discovery means is every text, every email, every message, every DM on every platform, Discord, whatever else, X, whatever he's been talking on, that's all going to come out. And all of his finances. So here's the thing too. He's probably been losing money for a while. And his issue is he's going to have to pin that drop in money specifically to Emiru and Asmongold speaking out. So if he's been falling consistently, how are you going to pin that on people without just attributing it to your overall decline in revenue? That's really going to be hard for him. Devil's Advocate says, Ava, are you old enough to be in the chat? Ava is definitely old enough to be in the chat. Max Bob says, can a biz afford a lawyer better quality than RKI? Well, certainly. But once again, remember, RKI is not paying for his lawyer. His roommate is. And his lawyer is paid on an IOU, RKI. Max Poppin for 10. In fact, because we're talking about RKI, let's play a little RKI clip.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
Make sure to smash the like button and make sure to say thank you if you received a gift membership, guys. We have the most appreciative and respectful chat out there. And that's because of people like you and people that donate and people that are thankful for what goes in the chat. Be respectful, be polite, and you can ask any question you want in the chat as long as it's within those parameters. Danish says, too bad you can't be the lawyer. I don't want to be the lawyer. I want to be the one to cover it. If I was a lawyer, I would not be able to cover it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the content gold mine, like Goldfinger, or was it Gold Member? Sorry, I like the Austin Powers version better. Sorry, James Bond. But yes, I do not want to be the lawyer. I want to cover this, which is much more fascinating. McSkittle says, is he suing the plush manufacturers too? Everyone knows they're throwing soft enough that can be deadly. I know. He's got to sue those plushies because plushies can take an eye out. It's Figs. Welcome as a new member. Shem Pasta says, gasp, where's the Mudang? You monster, where have you left her? She's in good care. She's getting multiple meals a day. She's getting groomed. She's getting cared for, washed, all that good stuff. Mudang is being taken very well care of. So Mudang, don't worry about Mudang. Mudang is safe in Thailand as I'm doing my American adventure here. Another man says, Mizkif, the Soprano 2025 remake. There we go. All right. Let's get into it. First of all, let's start with some comments. Let's start with the Eggman. This is a good one from Tectone, who's talking about Mizkif and his personality, which I think goes a lot into this. Let's play this.
I understand why you're doing this, Miz, and you're not doing this because you're in the right. You're doing this because you're small, you're petty, you're afraid, and you're lashing out the only way you think that you can. And it's embarrassing. It really is. And it's a shame because as the most egotistical person I've ever met, you'd think you'd have some pride left, but you don't. You're just a small man, and everything that comes out, the hair transplant, the steroids, the begging streamers to collab and then calling them a leech is just for optics. Mizkif, everything you do is to inflate your already overinflated ego to make up for your lack of self-worth because you have none. And I think this really goes to show just how embarrassing this entire situation is. And honestly, I do think you should be ashamed of what you're doing right now. You will not win. This will not end in your favor, and you are completely fucking yourself. I'd say something to Emmy and Asmund, but I'm sure they're fine. I guarantee you they don't give a fuck, because this is the most embarrassing lawsuit I've ever seen.
I could not agree with the Eggman more on that one. Absolutely embarrassing. By the way, yeah, this is absolutely something that Asmongold is not going to be worried about. I don't think Emiru has to be worried about this. We're going to get into that. Defamation, super hard to prove. And what this looks like, and this is a good comment, I'll actually pull this up from Dirtbag Dennis, textbook narcissism. Incapable of seeing faults in himself, he only admits wrong to save other parts of his ego. And that's also textbook lolcow, right? You know, everyone has faults and everyone can admit that. I have a lot of faults. I definitely, you see me, I'm scuffing all the time, I'm late, all that sort of stuff. You got to admit when you're down and you're hurting and you're bad. And Mizkif just needs to, if he came out and said, look, I screwed up, and he ended it there, I think this would go a long way into, you know, maybe a recovery, maybe getting back from this. But that's not what he did. He didn't go back and apologize. Particularly apologize to Amaru and everyone who he's wrong privately and growing from it. I think that would have been the way to do this. But of course, that's not what people do, especially people like Miz. Been there, done that. Says Mudang might end up like the bunnies. Yikes. No, that is not true. Mudang is not going to end up like the bunnies. Look, if Mudang, if suddenly you see a different Mudang plushie in the video, nothing happened. It's all right. We're just rotating the Mudangs because there are a lot of Mudangs. I actually saw some Mudangs in the airport I wanted to buy because they're super cute. All right. And by the way, throwing a Mudang plushie would be lethal weapon. That would be a lethal weapon considering the size of Mudang. All right. We got one more funny clip that I want to play. And this is of course, Fillion here. Let's see. Let's get Fillion on the screen here. Fillion clearly dodging a big bullet here today with this one. So let's play this.
Billy, do you think a lot of your chatters know the lore between you and I?
Like what kind of lore?
How we met?
Yeah, maybe.
Do you think they know the lore about, like, you on the date with me?
You are such a rage baiter. That's crazy.
What? Go ahead, say it. It's the truth. Don't be afraid of your past. That's
I'll
my
say
job.
it like this, okay? I met Mizkif because when I first started streaming, there was a guy who named Rafflegator. He would do date shows. I went on there. Instead of winning, Mizkif kicked me off the show because I started talking to his friend more than him.
Just think what you could have been if you didn't do that.
I'm getting major Diddy vibes. I can't lie.
Just think, if you just didn't talk to Lakar, you could have been with me all these years.
Jesus Christ.
And you would have been canceled right by my side.
What the frick is happening, man? It's all good, dude.
You were in love with me. Just admit it. Just tell the truth.
Am I in danger? Am I free to leave?
Classic Philly in there. Good stuff. She definitely dodged a bullet. And by the way, what type of insecurity? Talking to your friend, and you can't handle it. You can't handle it. It's too much. Happy No Scuff November. There we go. No Scuff November. Let's try it. Let's try to do it. What a freaking loser. I mean, and this just shows you the type of character that he has. It just shows you the type of person he is, you know, and how absolutely insecure this dude is. So without further ado, let's whip out the PP and let's get into the facts, shall we? So of course, I've got the presentation here for you guys all lined up. Mizkif versus everyone, because he's literally suing everyone. Now, not actually everyone on the internet, but he's suing a lot of people. So let's get into the party. So obviously, and as a disclaimer, this is something I do now because I disclaim stuff. This is a public court document. I've tried to redact stuff. I may have made, you know, one mistake or two, and if I don't redact something, oopsie doopsie, but I tried. It's a public court document so people can access it. So all this information is going to be out there, including all the names, etc. And there's really nothing we can do to stop that. That's the bad thing with these sorts of lawsuits, is all this information is going to get out there. All this information is going to be out there forever, right? In terms of people's information, where they live, etc. And also another thing is that Mizkif appears to have filed this under a previous name, because there was another lawsuit where he used his other name, and it appears, unless he's doing a DBA thing, that he's trying to not give away his own name while kind of, I don't want to say doxing, but exposing other people's names and addresses. So I hope that in the response that Asmongold and Imru have, they put his real name in this. So once again, you know, very, very childish stuff on his side of putting out other people's names and not putting out what appears to be his own name. Yeah. Another thing is Mythic is being sued as part of this. So one thing I want to put out here, and I want to be very clear on this because a lot of people misunderstand this. I am not Mythic's attorney. I am not speaking for Mythic, and I'm not speaking for any of its members, right? So I'm speaking for myself and giving the same legal analysis I would give no matter what. And one thing I want to say about Mythic, and this is kind of credit to them, before I joined, I told them very specifically, if people are sued in Mythic, I will be covering them. Are you okay with that? And they said yes, assuming I'm just doing the coverage I am, which is being very objective, which I will be. I mean, I'm going to talk about some things that are not good for Mythic, perhaps, but I'm very fair and balanced, but I'm not talking for them. I'm not talking for anybody else. I'm not representing them. And I'm going to continue to do that regardless, right? And even if they were to boot me over the coverage, which they wouldn't, because I'm just doing my normal coverage, I wouldn't care. I'm going to continue to do what I'm going to do, right? They're a talent agency that he was part of, and they're kind of sued as a party along with OTK. The last is court cases are always predictable. I do predict a hilarious loss for Mizkif, but you never know. Judges can be crazy. Judges can do crazy stuff. And I can say there's a 99% chance of everybody else prevailing and Mizkif losing. But there's always a 1% chance that that Mizkif could prevail somehow. But it would have to be a judge that's higher than a Georgia Pine, to quote a famous contract case, to actually rule in favor of Mizkif. But you never know. There's weird judges out there. You had the judge that did all the weird stuff in the Irina Zagrutska case and let that guy go with, infinite criminal charges. You never know. There's no guarantee. So while I'm saying, the odds are against him, it's never a 100% guarantee. Digital Lee said, I read Mizkif's claim in the one OTK notice he submitted as evidence. Just the OTK notice alone was stronger than Mizkif's claim. I don't even know how he could disprove that once discovery happens. Oh, we're going to read that one. I almost hear Mizkif in Tweak's voice. Too much pressure. Silver lining is Asman will have to get a new house. Oh, that's true. Asman will get a new house with all the money he's going to make covering this. It's going to be great. Duca said, no scuff November in the style of Lionel Hutz. Fat Factor Creation said, given the frivolous dismissal bait nature of Chrissy Mizkif Santi of Jersey Claims, should we call this the mortadella for a lawsuit? This is a lol suit. This is a lol suit if I've ever seen one, which means a joke of a lawsuit. But yes, this is a mortadella for a lawsuit. I like it. All right, let's get to the parties. Obviously, we have Mizkif. Oh boy, Mizkif. On the downslide, obviously suffering massive emotional damage. We're going to play that one here.
Emotional damage.
Maybe even a little bit of
emotional cabbage
in the Somali form there. But he is absolutely emotionally butthurt over this. He's losing his friends. He's losing his reputation. He's losing, a lot here. But a lot of that he was losing anyways. A lot of that Mizkif was losing anyways. A lot of that Mizkif was on the downslide. And to be honest, a lot of this is just due to his own behavior and failures and his failure to admit to that. And his failure to just own up to the fact that, hey, I've been sliding as a streamer. That's on me. That's not on Emerald. That's not on Asmongold. That's on me. That's on me. And nobody wants to be working with me. And that's normal based on the behavior that he's gone through. Then we got Emiru. She's obviously going to be part of this. And Emmy is key to these claims, particularly the physical and sexual claims. And by the way, these physical and sexual claims were even before the Emiru quote unquote mounting incident, which has now been brought to light. So there's a lot of stuff, and apparently from a lot of people. So we might even see more people come up again to drop other allegations of a physical and sexual nature against Mizkif, which is pretty bad, which is fairly bad. Then we've got the Roach King, Asmongold, who's brought in on this for defamation. Now, I am very sure, and I'm going to say this very clearly, Asmongold probably doesn't give an F, as Tectone said. That's a very legal term, doesn't give an F. I assume that he's got plenty of money to buy a very, very good lawyer, and I assume that before he said anything, he was thoughtful as to what he said. So remember, the standard is actual malice. So did Asmongold know he was viciously lying in a malicious way against Mizkif? I don't think so. I think there was at least a reasonable basis. Now, mind you, if in this case there was a reasonable misunderstanding, let's say about the rabbits, let's say Asmongold made a reasonable misunderstanding about the rabbits, would that be defamation? No, because the actual malice standard. Asmongold was not sitting there watching the rabbits. So if one rabbit passed away due to Emmy's negligence, let's just pretend, I'm not saying that's what happened, but let's pretend in a pretend world, a hypothetical, that, yeah, maybe some of the rabbits passed away because they were not fed enough or whatever, right? Is that defamation? No, it's not. It is not, right? The rabbit whole thing it falls on Mizkif too, because it was happening under his roof. So there really isn't so much here to come out against Asmongold and try to say he defamed her, Mizkif specifically, right? What about the plushies? Were the plushies really made of rocks? Like, no, that's not something that's going to come out here, and that's not going to be a problem. Mythic, obviously the talent agency, removing his interest there, removing him from Mythic, and then OTK as well as a broader entity. He obviously was a founding member and has a stake in that, a controlling stake in that. So that's part of the lawsuit. All right, let's get into the meat. Let's get into the thickness of this, guys. So right here, we've got count one. And this is, we're not going to read the whole lawsuit because I didn't want to have to redact everything, but we're going to get into the big stuff here. Someone said about his like behavior in person. Yeah, a lot of that's going to come out. So for example, if he was, for example, engaged in substance abuse or physical abuse or sexual abuse of any other kind, that can now come out as part of this lawsuit. He literally opened the door to all of his bad behavior coming out through the defamation lawsuit. It's hilarious. And I know Asmon may not make any Mizkif content, but guess what he's going to do? He's going to make content through the deposition. That's going to happen. So that's going to happen no matter what. All right. So breach of contract. Now, this is the strongest claim. I'm going to get into why a little bit later. But he claims that OTK breached its ownership agreement with his name, Renudo, which I think is his fake last name. I think he's got a real last name that he used in a different lawsuit, by purporting to oust him from ownership when no event of breach or default was giving it authority to take such action. No event of breach or default. Within that second paragraph, you can call BS. You're already yelling. Objection. Because he literally submitted evidence of a breach or default where they were very specific under the terms that they had to remove him. So his own evidence works against him. By the way, this is a good point. Federal cases aren't live streamed, but we're going to find out about them through the filings, which I will cover, right? But they're not going to be live streamed. Silbury says, odd, 20 minutes late, algorithm, why? Oh, you're here. That's all that matters. Javi says, can Asmongold pay his lawyer to try and drag the lawsuit as long as possible so Mintz could go broke? Yes, he could. He could pull a Disney. We're going to call it a Disney. Yes. If Asmongold wants to go toe-to-toe with on the money level, he can. And by the way, he's not just going with Asmongold, he's going with Emeru, Mythic, and OTK. So who do you think has more money? Let's put it in the chat. Let's pull the chat. Who has more money? Mizkif or everyone else combined? Because that's who he's fighting. He's fighting everyone else combined. So the battle is, okay, is Mizkif really out-earning Asmongold, Emeru, Mythic, and OTK as a whole? I don't think he is. I really don't think the anti-Miz alliance, or rather the Miz Truth and Reconciliation group, is going to be outspent by Mizkif alone. I doubt that highly, especially when he's bitching about Emeru having more viewers. That would imply she makes more money. OTK acknowledged it took no effort to investigate the breaches. That's not true. Saying OTK is in no way involved nor aware of the content or personal matter Ronaldo and Emeru may have with each other. That does not mean they did not investigate it at all. That does not mean they didn't give you a notice. It doesn't mean they didn't put you on notice before. They, in fact, did. Nonetheless, OTK anticipatorily breaches contract with Ronaldo based on allegations. That may not be the only basis. He's making an assumption that the only basis they terminated on was that. No, they may have had other information, right? Similarly, King OTK breached its agreements with plaintiffs by purporting to divest them of stock in King when no breach and default permitting the same. That's not true. You, in fact, submitted evidence of a breach. Defamation. Now, here's the real lull in the lull suit. Here's the real joke. Plaintiffs incorporate the allegations of paragraphs 1 through 37. So that's his kind of background. Where, by the way, this is federal, so there's no anti-slap. Thank you, Danielle, for pointing that in the chat. There's no anti-slap, but there is motion to dismiss. But here's the thing. He went so far as to paint Emiru as some sort of desperate woman who wanted to marry him and have kids and all this stuff, but he didn't want that. That is not what actually seems to be the case here. What seems to be the case is he was the clingy one who didn't want to let go. And these misrepresentations are all going to come out. Anti-SLAPP is anti-strategic lawsuit against public participation. So this could be viewed as a type of lawsuit by Mizkif to silence Emmy and Asmongold. But because it's federal court, they don't get to file that motion. They do get to file a motion to dismiss, though, which is very, very important, because I think, ironically, a motion to dismiss may actually be the best thing to save him. In an ironic way, the best way to save Mizkif from this is by Emiru and Asmongold winning quickly. And this is hilarious that it's that bad. We're in a situation that is so bad that Mizkif's W is a quick win by Asmongold, Emmy, OTK, and Mythic. That's how bad this is. I have not seen a lawsuit this bad in a long time, where the true win is not getting to discovery. Like Lightwolf says here for 200 yen, shout out to my base Japanese bros. Discovery means FAFO. That's exactly right. Ray says, part of me thinks that part of this lawsuit is driven by bringing back Emiru's trauma and putting it into the public eye. I would agree. I think this might be a way to do that. And if I was Emmy and her lawyer, and I talked about this on my previous stream, Emiru, pay attention, girl. Trying to help you out here. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. She needs to come in with that, because I think with all she went through, this paints a very good case of intentional infliction of emotional distress. And I do think there is a basis, and I've talked about this way back in the day. Dragging someone through the legal process to traumatize them, I think is a basis. I think that is a basis, and I think you can include that amongst other things. So I think you can say, hey, he's attempting to flesh out all this trauma through the legal process. I think it's very abusive, and I do think it's intentional. Doug Diaz for 5 and King Bob for 5. Very base. Yes. Hold on.
Hello, Beso Department.
Getting that call from the base department for Doug Diaz and King Bob. Thank you for those memberships here. Ms. Barley, Hassan equals Asmongold versus a Hassan proxy suit. Yeah, I think that's what this is beginning to look like, but to me, it just looks like absolute joke and absolute content. Maximius Decimus says, can we crowdfund to force Discovery to see Miz cry? All we need to do is for it to survive a motion to dismiss. In fact, if they really want to make him suffer, don't even file the motion to dismiss. Let it go to Discovery. Don't even file. Let it go to Discovery. And then on summary judgment, we'll either get a settlement and maybe they'll pay Miz like some chump change to go away, like 10K or 20K, which is nothing in the streamer world, to go away, maybe. But after we get the Discovery, after we get all the dirty text messages, all the stuff he sent, I want to see those. I also want to see the contract. Some guy with cancer says, I wish this was as badly written as poorly as Maddox, so it'd be entertaining to read. Yeah, it's not as entertaining as Maddox, but it's stupid. In fact, stupider than Maddox. Because Maddox, at least we didn't know all the facts in the beginning, so to say, but Maddox, it just, that lawsuit declined in a different kind of arc. This one, we kind of already can predict where it's going. Niz bringing up what he did, wouldn't that backfire? Yes, it would. Yes, it absolutely would. It absolutely would. Let's continue here. So he says that defendants Emiru and Asmongold have published untrue, and defamatory statements concerning Renudo to an audience of millions, painting him as a rapist, domestic abuser, and emotional abuser. Now, hold on. Did they say that? Did they say that? I don't think they said that. I don't think one time in Asmongold's video or Emmy's video did they say the words, he is a R word, he is a domestic abuser, he is a criminal. I don't think they said that. And by the way, an emotional abuser isn't a crime. So you can call someone emotionally abusive. In fact, I'll say it right now. Based on the information that we see publicly, and if what Imaru says and Asmongold says is true, which let's pretend it is true for a second, he is an emotional abuser. Emotional abuse is not necessarily a crime. Now, it can be intentional infliction of emotional distress, which is a civil claim, but it's not a crime. However, calling someone an R word or a domestic abuser is a crime. That would be defamatory. And they did say SA, potential SA, alleged SA, right? But I don't think they said the word. I don't think they called him a criminal. So I think he's pushing it in that. I think what he meant to say is they implied it, which is different. These statements were made with actual malice because Asmongold and Emeru knew at the time they published statements they were false. On the belief and information, Asmongold and Emeru stood to benefit from his ouster from OTK and the associated companies, coordinating with timing of the statements to maximize their injury. No, what they did was, and I'm going to read the last one. They have caused severe damage to his reputation and business. Oh, and severe emotional distress and mental anguish. Oh, what a soy boy. Okay. What they did was cover it as streamers cover things. I don't know if Mizkif has been so long out of the game and is such a crappy streamer that he doesn't realize that everybody and their mother on the internet, including myself, will cover things as they come out. That typically is what happens. When news drops within 24 to 48 hours, people are making videos on it. That's kind of normal. That's what streamers do. That's your job as a streamer, you might even say. So I don't think that's going to be a winning argument there, bro. That they covered it they covered it because that's what they do. They cover news and they just happen to be involved in it. So that's not any more defamatory than me covering it or anybody else covering it. By the way, I've seen, today 100 channels covering this. Is he going to sue all those people for defamation? No, of course not. The Davi for 19.99 cents. I just want to say I love watch videos. Thank you. I'm not one for those streamers, but I appreciate the coverage. Thank you. Yeah, and once again, I've never watched a full Mizkif video. I've watched clips. In fact, I'll tell you this. I rarely watch I don't watch full Asmongold streams. I watch his clips. I have watched his full clips. Emmy, I've never watched one of her streams fully. I've watched clips, but I just don't have time. And once again, maybe there's some context left out. Okay, he could say that. But actual malice requires that you know what you're saying is fully wrong and you say it anyways. I don't think he hits that standard of knowing what is fully wrong, especially with the mounting incident where he was kissing Emeru, which she admits that happened. They kissed, but then he got on top and she pushed him away. How are you going to prove that? Unless there was a camera rolling in that and that didn't happen. But here's the thing. You both said that happened that way. So both of your stories line up to saying that he did that. So at what point is there defamation in there? At what point was wrong in that? The only thing is that people, particularly the comments, particularly the people responding on the internet, have jumped to the conclusion that he is a criminal, right? But people in the comments jumping to that conclusion is not the responsibility of the streamer. The streamer puts the information out there. Asmongold and Emmy told their story. People can come to the conclusions they want from that. You as a streamer cannot control that. That's not on you legally if someone comes to a conclusion based on your behavior. And once again, I do believe that everything should be borne out in a court of law. Everyone deserves their date in court, including Mizkif. But Mizkif can be facing potential criminal charges here. And I don't think he takes that seriously enough. I think he thinks this is a joke or thinks this is just going to blow over, but it absolutely will not. Brian Trace said, Robert Gouveia is getting married. Oh, congrats. And he's at least looking good as you. Are you next? We'll see in the future at some point if there's a missed mindset. But for now, I think I'm keeping a free agent. And honestly, this is a really good lesson for a lot of people about dating other streamers. Not a great idea. And a lot of people have said, well, how did he end up dating all these other, streamers and these other streamers that seem like normal people? Well, I've said it before in my other stream. It almost for these streamers is like their limited dating pool where they, can't go out and meet people in normal ways. So they view a limited dating pool and they say, okay, well, you're, Mizkif, oh, you're an accomplished streamer. You must be professional and able to handle this. But in fact, he is the least capable of handling this. In fact, he is the most fragile guy I've seen out there, period. I don't I don't know how Miz thinks he can afford this lawsuit. We'll see. I don't know how much money he has, but he's going to have a lot less after this. Fallen Hero says, I'm here for the lawsuit. So am I. Stock says, I don't understand why Asman is included. Didn't he just watch Emmy stream and comment on things Emmy said to him? Also, Mizkif has 2 left eyebrows. Exactly. This is exactly right. It is not defamation to comment on publicly available information. So Asmongold was commenting on a public video, and he does have private knowledge because he was called and everything else, but he never passed the line of saying, I was in the room and I saw what happened with Emmy and Mizkif and I saw how he mounted or whatever. He didn't say that. He just said objectively what he knew and experienced, and that's not defamation, particularly in the United States where truth is an absolute defense. Hey, it's Tay for $4.99. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, let's get down dirty. Last one we got here, last cause of action, is a declaratory judgment. Now, this is interesting. This is against OTK Mythic King. So this is saying that the defendants, right, were trying to unlawfully divest Mizkif of his interest in the companies. And they're saying that there was a dispute regarding management fees. Now, this is one where I think, along with breach of contract, we need to release the contract. You guys know I love contracts. From Niji Sanji to the talent contracts to everything. I am a man of the contracts, right? Contracts make me excited. Make me very, very, very excited.
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
And so am I when it comes to contracts. I think we need to see the contract. Now, we're going to get it as part of the legal process. Eventually, we are going to get this contract. We will see it. But why not see it now? Why not do a little leaky? Why not transfer it over? Why not pop that into my email? Release the Miz files, right? Let's get those. Let's send that over to old Uncle Mindset and give a nice review of this ownership agreement so we can see the terms. Because I guarantee you there is a reputational clause. Every single contract, in fact, every single employee out there on corporate America, corporate anything, there is a clause that says if you damage the reputation of the company, they can cut you. Look at any employee out there. In fact, that's what people found out for Charlie Kirk, right? When they were making all those comments about Charlie Kirk. And they got fired because even though what they said may not have been criminal, if you're hurting the reputation with your public comments, they can let you go. And based on what he was saying about other streamers and about OTK, that was more than enough. And by the way, he had already made statements that were more than enough to terminate him. And they'd already put him on notice about that. So what are you talking about? I just think this is such a ridiculous comment and statement in the light of what happened. So let's go over a quick overview of all the 3 claims. First of all, breach of contract. Without the contract, I have to say, once again, Uncle Mindset here, always very fair. Without the contract, breach of contract is his strongest claim. But strongest claim is relative. So if 10 is a amazing suit and 0 is no claim, I think defamation is like 0.5. It's almost nothing. The probability is so low, I can't even put it at a 1, right? Breach of contract, I don't know. It could be a 5, it could be a 6, it could be a 1, it could be a 0. I don't know until I see the contract. But I doubt that it is a 10. At best, it would be a toss-up. It'd be a 5, right? At best. I don't see it that way. And the other thing is, the letter from OTK hurts both the breach of contract claim and the declaratory judgment side. So I think that's the rub there for number 1 and number 3. And number 3, of course, declaratory judgment. That's largely dependent on the contract. Defamation. This is the most hilariously idiotic claim I've seen in a while. And I think this is throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that he's going to get Emiru or Asmongold to settle. It's not going to happen. And they shouldn't settle. They should stand up and fight this. For sure. And the biggest thing is it opens up discovery in a financial audit. All of his finances are going to be up. And oh boy, I am going to love to see, right? I am going to love to see how much money he has lost and how much money he has been dropping over the last years. We're going to get to see that now, thanks to Mizkif's own lawsuit. We're going to get to see how much he's been losing and why he's so salty. How do you feel about sailing coming to OCRS? Is it old school RuneScape? I have no idea about that, but sounds cool, I guess. Cheetah Duck says, do you think Mizkif will try to twist the story about the holes in the drywall? Your Honor, those holes are from plushes being thrown at me with violent velocity. This is federal court, so unfortunately we're not going to get the Amber Heard, my dog stepped on a bee, but we will get the reports from that, and we can actually have people sit in on that case and listen to it and take notes, etc. We just can't have it filmed. But I think he is going to try to lie, but it's going to be hard. Like, Your Honor, I just gently punched the wall. No, there's going to be proof of that. You're going to be able to see that. And by the way, that is a clear attempt to intimidate Emmy, and she could file criminal charges for that, for punching the wall and for doing other violent things. So if anything, that's going to work against him in a potential criminal suit or maybe even a civil suit for intentional infliction of emotional distress, which I, once again, strongly would advise Emmy to consider. Silver W23 says, question, do you think he put the companies on there so if he gets any money, he can spin it as a complete win like he did with other cases where he got dismissed? Yes. He put the companies on there because they have money and they might pay a settlement just to get him to go away. And honestly, I think they should fight it. I think they should say, F you, Mizkif, we're not giving you $1 with your BS lawsuit and fight it out. I don't think they should pay him a go-away number. You might as well call out his lawsuit. Oh, I am. That's why my Fast Facts is called lawsuit. That's what the title is right there. Inubitan says, Mizkif is trying to speedrun his career to be this generation's ESP. Before you know it, he's going to be down there in Merida with Ethan Ralph shaking pill bottles and pissing in jars. Because that's where he's going with this sort of direction for his life, and he's choosing that for himself. Once again, we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I definitely have my problems and my struggles, and I admit those. And if I make a mistake or I make a misquote or I wrong somebody, I try to make it right. I believe a lot in forgiveness, and part of that is, forgiving yourself for making mistakes. Hey, if Mizkif came out there and said, hey, Emmy, privately said, hey, will you forgive me? Asmongold, will you forgive me? I think that could go a long way, but he's not doing that. Like someone mentioned in the chat, he's doing the pirate software tactic, and that doesn't work. That makes him quickly become a lolcow and, end up in a lawsuit. Bob says, by Azura, seeing Mizkif unshaven always reminds me of Oblivion NPC. Seeing Mizkif with a beard and roids is just Oblivion remastered. Based reference. Meta says, so if you can get assault and battery for throwing water on someone, wouldn't apply to plushies as well? Still think Mizkif is soy, but law's law. I don't think a judge in Texas is going to look at Emaru and look at Mizkif and say, well, Emaru, he was certainly in fear for his life for the plushie. See, the thing about water is water could be acid. So if someone throws a liquid at you, you could have a reasonable fear that is acid. If you haven't looked up acid attacks, look up acid attacks. There's some acid attacks where people go blind. They're permanently disfigured. They don't know what's going on. So water or throwing liquid on someone could cause them to have a fear that that's an acid attack or something else like that. A plushie is a plushie. He knows what the plushie is. Unless he somehow in a delusional way thought the plushie was filled with C4, I don't think that's going to fly. I don't think that's going to, Okay. All right. You know what, chat?
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
I'm not even gonna ask how that would get on the plushie in the first place. You guys are. I can't stream anymore. Guys, I'm done. I'm miskiffing my own career here. It's over. It's over. I thought I was coming back, but it's over. 5,000 people. By the way, have you guys smashed the like button yet? Can you please like the video? Like the video. We're trying to get good content here. Devil Cookie said, do you think it'll end up like Drake's case? I think, no. I mean, even Drake had more of a reasonable basis than this. Chaos Smash says, Your Honor, my client is... Hold on. We'll get the clip.
Look, here's the thing.
Fine. Listen,
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
So if he just came out there and said that, look, I'm kind of an idiot. And I screwed up because I'm an idiot and I do stupid things and I did stupid stuff and, I made mistakes. That would go a lot better than what he's doing right now. The R defense, which, by the way, making a comeback, the R defense would be a lot better than this lawsuit. Just straight up. Just saying, I acted like an idiot. I was dumb. I was emotional. I was, my estrogen levels were too high. I need to get on TRT, right? Or something like that. That would be a lot better than what he's doing right now. A lot better. A lot better. David Miller says, okay, hear me out. What if you thought the plushie was a demonetized, paralyzed furry? Well, he might be into that. I think Mizkif is probably into furries, right? Ava with the based 5 legal mindset. Elpire Ava for 5 says, I pack all my plushies with C4 boys, so you better watch it. I love the letter that he attached to his complaint that hurts him. We're going to read that one. We'll read it. Kieran says, I hope Hachima is doing okay. I think she's doing all right. Wedge Dilly says, there's literally a video where you can see and hear the wall being slammed as Emerald cowers in fear in her chair as she streams. Entered into evidence. That's going to be entered into evidence. And I hope that she considers criminal action and filing criminal case against them. It's probably within the statute of limitations. Chaos Smash, speaking of plushies, where's the pig dog at? First of all, banned Chaos Smash from the chat for calling Mudang a pig dog. She is in Thailand. I'm in America. Loving the USA. Loving being back. Loving being back. I got that global entry. Hey, Hassan. Hey, Hassan. How does it feel that when I came back to America, I was not even asked one question? They literally said, oh, Andrew, that's you? Okay, yeah, you're good to go. Keep going. That's global entry. Love it. Mwah. Something Hassan is denied because he has too many terrorist friends. Sucks to suck, bro. Sucks to suck. Light Wolf for 500 yen says, there was a saying, when you're at bottom, the only way to go is up. Degenerates like RKI and Mizkif proved the underground on so many levels. And with both RKI, Ramsey Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny Somali, and Mizkif, all they had to do was say they're sorry. And that's, in the Somali case, right now, he could get off of this. He could not get off, but be mitigated in his consequences. He could shorten the case by just pleading guilty and saying sorry, but he refuses to do it. And I said, there's a light path and a dark path, and you all can choose. We all can choose which way to go. And Mizkif and Somali are both choosing the worst possible outcome, the worst possible universe for them to live in. Silbury Sign says for 5, shout out to Elpire for reporting on this an hour after the news broke yesterday. Go to the LawTuber. Y'all should check her out. She's great. Great California lawyer. Narcissist will never apologize, and that's the problem. Hassan is also infinite content. Okay, let's continue with the PP. We got to give the PP the respect it deserves. Okay, let's get to the letter. In fact, I'm going to read this snippet, but this is from the letter to Mizkif, and specifically it puts him on notice about the things he did, which were clear wrongs. So let me see. I'm going to try to pull up the PDF here since we have time to go through this and give you guys the lowdown here. But this notice is more than enough. And this was delivered on October 24th, 2025. This notice is more than enough to get him terminated in and of itself. We don't need any more than this. So you can see this is from OTK. He filed this as a document. So once again, Mizkif, in an epic self-own, filed this as a document. This is one of the most idiotic things I've seen, where evidence that you filed works against you. I as a lawyer, you rarely get self-owns like this. It takes a special idiot streamer. Look at the date, October 24th, by regular mail. Second notice. So it's clear here that there was a first notice. So it's clear, based on the letter, that he was already on notice that he could be fired. He was on probation. Let's read through this. On or about November 6, 2023. So for the past 2 years, this soy boy has been on notice. it issued a first notice of termination repurchase. The first notice issued was as a result of material breach of the owner's agreement, which, by the way, that implies there is a morality clause or moral turpitude clause, which is very standard in these types of agreements. Once again, I am a corporate lawyer. I have drafted many, many corporate agreements. Many. That is standard. So the implication here is that he breached a very standard contractual clause. But here's the great part. Specifically, OTK referenced your course of misconduct, including multiple instances of unwanted physical contact or violence. Boom. All of these are going to come out. I know Asmongold said he has stories. Guess what? Those are going to come out. Maybe not as part of his streams, as part of Discovery. Emmy's stories are going to come out. Other girls' stories are going to come out. Oh boy, oh boy. And he had been given notice of his termination of his repurchasing of the shares agreement. So that was already on notice. OTK has now learned that you have furthered your conduct involving violent threats, disparaging remarks, and blatant disregard for OTK and its company affiliates, King Gaming Labs and Mythic Talent Management. As a result, they're taking additional actions to address it and ultimately terminate any relationship between you and the company. As of Saturday, October 18th at TwitchCon, shout out to the most failed event of 2025, the most epic event. You made threatening event and remarks to Emily, blah, 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 Emaru, an OTK owner, even after learning she'd been victim of sexually motivated assault during a meet and greet. Upon information and belief, your threats to Emaru were made through individuals adjacent to both OTK and Emaru's personal business, and they pertain to alleged allegations against you by Emaru of an exceedingly sensitive nature, the allegations. So these are the violent allegations against Emmy. Once again, that's at the core of all of this, okay? So you threatened personal and professional harm in an effort to silence her. By the way, that is what a SLAP lawsuit, strategic lawsuit against public participation. So it's an attempt to silence somebody from publishing her allegations against you. While OTK is not involved nor aware of the conduct, which is fine, that's normal, right? Because that's a normal corporate statement. Such a personal matter that you and Emaru may have with each other will not tolerate threats or misconduct towards you, by you towards members of OTK community. The nature of the allegations in tandem with your hostile response to them is the most egregious misconduct in violation of the owner's agreement. And these are the remarks. And this alone is enough. This is what he said. F streamers, F them all, F everybody, F FaZe Clan, F the fourth floor, F OTK, F everybody. I'm going to start being a solo streamer. I never needed anybody. They needed me. What a pathetic response. I didn't need you. You needed me. Ugh. That is the biggest loser statement of the century. He's going to go down as the most whiny little man-child, boy child of the century. Small PP energy, 100%. And not the small PP in terms of my girthy but short PPs, which are always satisfying to everybody who enjoys my PPs, right? We're not talking about my PP here. We're talking about Mizkif's small PP.
Objection.
Okay. We'll get to the super chats in a second here. But that statement alone, it says, he said himself, I want to go solo. So if they are terminating you after you say, F them, I'm going solo, they're literally doing what you want, bro. You said, I want to go solo, and they are terminating you from the team. The team is dropping you after you said, you don't need them, F them, I'm going solo. They're literally doing what you said you wanted. But of course, he doesn't even know what he wants, right? Typical relationship. He doesn't know what he wants, right? He doesn't know what he wants. But that's not where it stops. It continues. OTK failed miserably. Nobody wanted to buy it. It didn't make any sense for anyone to ever purchase OTK or to run and operate OTK. So now OTK is very small. So now he's disparaged OTK as a business in addition to saying he wanted to go solo. I just don't get where the basis from this lawsuit comes from. Hopes and dreams? I don't get it. Let's get some super chats and then we're going to get back to the PP. Because the PP, we always get back to the PP. Sigrun says a bottle, even a small one with just water in it, have some heft and can unironically hurt. Yes, it can. Someone if it hits the right place. A plush flying at you would unlikely to hurt unless it's tank size. Exactly. Even tank size, it'd have to be dropped from like a very tall building and be weighted. Enjoy your vacay and opportunity for content. Actually, this is more of a business trip. There's going to be a lot of photos. I'm going to be meeting with some other content creators. You're going to have photos of me in America, hanging out with some content creators. I can't say where. I can't say when. I don't want to get any events swatted or any other crazy stuff because all the stalkers out there trying to do weird stuff. But yes, you will see lots of photos from me in America, right? On my X YouTube. I'll share some stories with you guys. But yeah, it'll be all good stuff. Chaos smashes Budang Nunchuck plushie with Andrew exploding like Kenshiro. Poor man John Doe says, not sure about the other two defendants, but I'm sure Asmongold will not ask for dismissal because he's Asmongold. No, he should fight it out. He should fight it out. Although what I would do is this. I would try to get defamation dropped and then let them fight out the breach of contract because then it will still go to discovery. Just get the defamation tossed out, make it the joke it is, and then let them fight the breach of contract. There seem to be more hipposexuals than just legal mindset here. Wait a second. Objection. Ding is a young lady, so please do not sexualize her. The pie baker for 17 months says Mizkif is cracking the case to the point where I'm expecting him to have a lawyer who notarizes documents over the phone. This fiasco is in Texas. It's a federal case. It's a federal case, so it's not in Texas court. But a lot of the events did happen in Texas. Yes. Alper Aver said I got red in the face arguing this point yesterday. I know. I cannot imagine how you would file that and think it was a W. Mizkif admitted 1K's Wolf for 10 Canadian. Says Mizkif admitted to a bunch of abuse, even if he did not hit her directly. He was throwing stuff at her and slamming and damaged property, admitting it in his own streams. So how is it defamation? How is it defamation if Asmongold and Emmy and people in the comments are interpreting that as abuse? It's based on your factual statements. That is not actual malice. And it's certainly not a lie, which is what it would have to be. Sigrun says, that said, if someone managed to shot put a tank-sized plushie at you, you probably deserve it. Because how the heck did they do that? Exactly. Why did his law firm file suit? Says Daxter 1A for 5 Canadian. For Mizkif, the lawsuit is overwhelmingly negative for the client. All discovery sounds bad. Money. At the end of the day, I'm honest with you. Once again, I'm a lawyer. Lawyers are greedy, and lawyers are willing to file cases even if there's a slight chance they win. They can file it hoping for a settlement, which I think is what they're doing. What they're doing, I think, is filing this hoping they're going to get a settlement from OTK and from Mythic. Because honestly, this is just annoying. And he might get a couple, 10K, 20K off that if they settled. But I don't think they should settle. I really don't. Super says, I wish I could watch his legal counsel reminding Miz that all these filings will go public. Miz not listening and saying, mm-hmm. And I hope they told him about his whole life being exposed, his finances, his personal life, everything. In fact, we might get his ex-girlfriends testifying in this. Can you imagine that? I don't know. Who else did he date? He dated Emmy, and didn't he date, who's the other girl he dated? I forget her name. But all the other people he's dated, they're going to come out and they can testify as well. And they could say, no, he had Maya. That's right, Maya. Thank you, guys. I'm not in this streamer sphere. So Maya Higa, yeah. Is she the one who does the animal sanctuary? That's actually really cool. That's a really cool thing to do. I like animals. He dated Amaranth. I don't think he dated Amaranth. I do not think he dated Amaranth. I think that's cap. But yeah. So all these other people, like Maya is going to come up, Emaru, anybody else he dated can come up, even the non-public ones, then the other people can come up and say, yeah, there's a pattern of abuse. T-Rex and Crypto Travels, shout out. 49 says, how is One True King Net Worth allowed to just decide not to honor the promissory note? We don't know that they're just not deciding to do that if they have cause. And once again, we need the contract, and I want to see the contract. So I am leaving the basis out there that they could have drafted a horrible contract which has non-standard provisions in it. I guess that could have happened in some fantasy world. But honestly, knowing at least Mythic and knowing the lawyers that Mythic has, if OTK has a lawyer that's competent and not like running on, just cocaine and Miami booger sugar, I think that they could come up with a clause that gave them justification to terminate it. So I don't think they're in big trouble, but we'll see. I do need to see the contract. Why do they file it? Because money. Accountants and lawyers are greedy, like I would know as an accountant. Exactly. Once again, and they'll file for you like it's like an accountant filing when they know you're going to be audited. Like they'll file for you, but they're not going to take responsibility when the tax man comes back or the law man comes back with some trouble. Loyals will file anything if they get paid. Exactly. That's the answer. That's the real answer. Year exam for 5 says Mizkif should realize it's not defamation of character, it's definition of character. And this is showing his character. What I love about this is it's showing who Miz is. He's insecure and he's literally flailing out with stuff like plushie attacks, rabbits, and a literal lol suit. If this is the best he's got, if this is his nukes, he's got the nuclear potential of Libya under Gaddafi, right? It's an absolute smokescreen. It's an absolute joke, and he's not going to scare anybody. Airdrie Hound says, I'm a stuffed animal plushie dealer, and I've never successfully been sued for bottling. Muffin Muncher, 98. Sorry, I read the name and I'm like, objection. I heard the patent that the U.S. got granted was being reexamined. Becoming yes. Unfortunately, this takes precedent over that, but yes, they are absolutely screwed in that because in an unprecedented change, there was an order by the actual head of the office to reexamine it, which never happens. And the fact is that particular person is super pro-corporate and super pro-patents. And even this guy who's pro-patent says Nintendo is full of it, which is bad news for the Pokemon Company International, hashtag stop the Pokemon Company International, and bad news for Nintendo in their lawsuit against Palworld. Lude Mudang, no thanks. I'm no chubby cheese. Listen, do not beline Mudang. Mudang will one day find a perfect mate. You know, there's somebody who won't mind her curves, and she's going to be happy for it, okay? She's regular size for a hippopotamus, okay? She's normal size. Maxenius Decimus says, this man-child makes Amber Heard look smart. I know. At least Amber Heard, people believed Amber Heard before the trial. No one believes Mizkif other than his, like, 2 loyal followers. But yes, as CCPD text says, big girls need love too. Yes, Mudang needs love too. Do not the Mudang. That's right. That's right. It's like the Porsche. Okay, so let me round this out with my conclusory. My conclusory PP here. So my conclusion here is this is going to destroy Mizkif legally, financially, and reputationally. He actually, the best case, and this is something that was brought up by the genius, Don P. Bongwater, he actually has a better case against Gucci Marks for a deep fake if he wanted to go after him and make some money. But this case against Emaru, against Asmongold, against OTK, against Mythic is a loser. And he is going to lose big legally, financially, and reputationally. He's going to be absolutely cooked after this. But Mythic and OTK should release the contract in full text. It's going to come out in Discovery, so just release it, let it go. And last but not least, thank you for the content, Mizkif. I was really wondering if I'd have another great case to cover. And this is one I am so looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the response from Asmongold and Emmy. I'm looking forward to Mythic clapping back, OTK clapping back. It's going to be great. How many stuffed animals? Just one big one, and I have 2 small. I have a little capybara, and I have 2 backpacks for the capybara. It's very cute. It's very cute. Fat Factor said, taking one for the team is Mizkif's way of trying to plead insanity. No insanity! Objection! Not doing that. DSP, says Ramen Brahmin for $4.99, often talks about suing his detractors. Can you elaborate on anti-slap situations that apply to restreamers? I've talked about this ad nauseum. You can go back and watch my other ones. I don't think DSP has a great case, but I've talked about this time and time and time again. It's not apples to apples. It's a different situation. I love you, conclusory PP. There's always a conclusory PP. The PP needs to finish strong. Otherwise, you're unsatisfied if the PP doesn't finish strong. All right, guys, listen. It's been great to be back. I have a fast facts coming at you, and then I've got some shenanigans to pull tonight with some other YouTubers, which should be really fun. But remember to stay based. Don't be a soy boy. Don't throw plushies that are weighted with C4, and I will catch you on the next.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. It's you coping the ceiling. The truth it is all day.